My name is Emma, and for the longest time, I believed I was living the life every woman dreams of: a beautiful home, a loving husband, and a future that seemed almost perfect. But what no one knew was that my marriage was built on silence. A silence I didn't choose, a silence I was forced into. It all began 5 years ago when I married Daniel. He was charming, successful, the kind of man who knew how to make everyone in the room notice him. When he asked me to be his wife, I thought I was the luckiest woman alive. My parents adored him, my friends envied me, and I, naively, believed he was the man of my dreams. On our wedding night, I whispered to him, "Promise me, Daniel, we'll always be honest with each other." He smiled, kissed my forehead, and said, "Always, Emma. I'll protect you from everything, even from the truth if it hurts." At the time, I thought it was romantic. I didn't understand what he really meant. The first year of marriage was beautiful. We traveled, we laughed, we dreamed together. But then slowly, little cracks began to appear. Daniel would come home late at night, his phone always face down on the table. He stopped asking me about my day. Conversations that used to last hours were reduced to cold nods and dismissive gestures. When I confronted him about his late nights, he simply said, "Business, Emma. Don't ask too many questions. You wouldn't understand." At first, I let it go. After all, he was working hard for us, right? But deep down, a pit of unease grew inside me. I tried to confide in my best friend, Lily, but Daniel hated it when I spoke about our marriage with others. Once, he overheard me on the phone with her. That night, his face turned stone cold. "Emma," he said, his voice sharp, "our marriage is private. Do not ever speak to anyone about what goes on in this house. Do you understand?" I froze. "Do you understand?" He repeated louder this time. I nodded, my heart pounding. From that moment, I knew I had lost my freedom to speak. Silence became my prison. I smiled at family dinners, posted happy photos online, and pretended everything was perfect. But inside, I was screaming. The turning point came one night when Daniel returned home at nearly 2 a.m. His shirt smelled faintly of perfume, and there was lipstick, subtle but noticeable, on his collar. My chest tightened. "Daniel," I whispered, trying to steady my voice. "Where have you been?" He didn't flinch. He just poured himself a drink and said, "Out." "Don't start with your questions again, Emma." "But your shirt." His glass hit the table so hard I jumped. "Enough. You will not accuse me of things you don't understand. Do you hear me? If you love this marriage, if you love me, you will stay silent. You will trust me." I wanted to scream at him, to demand the truth. But the look in his eyes, dark, intimidating, silenced me. My throat closed, my words choked. That night, I cried myself to sleep, asking myself why the man I loved so deeply had turned into someone I didn't recognize. Weeks passed. The distance between us grew. He controlled what I wore to parties, how I spoke to his colleagues, even how much wine I was allowed to drink. To the world, he was the perfect husband. To me, he was a stranger who dictated my every move. One evening, I was at the grocery store when I spotted him. Or at least, I thought I did. Daniel was supposed to be at work, but there he was, standing in the parking lot, talking to a woman I had never seen before. She was tall, elegant, and laughing softly as he brushed a strand of hair from her face. My stomach dropped. I wanted to march up to him, scream his name, demand answers. But I froze. His words echoed in my mind. "Stay silent. Don't ask questions." I stood there, hidden behind a row of parked cars, my heart hammering in my chest, watching my husband with another woman. When he finally drove away, I couldn't breathe. I clutched my shopping bag so tightly that my fingers hurt. Was this it? Was this the truth I had been forced to ignore? That night, when he came home, I tried again. "Daniel," I said quietly, "I saw you today, at the grocery store, with her." His entire body stiffened. He turned slowly toward me, his eyes narrowing. "You saw nothing," he said coldly. "Do not ever bring this up again. If you do, Emma, I promise you'll regret it." My heart stopped. "Are you threatening me?" I whispered. He leaned close, his breath hot against my ear. "No, I'm warning you." Silence. "Emma, that's what keeps this marriage alive." Tears burned my eyes, but I nodded. What else could I do? He had stripped away my voice, my courage, my power. I was trapped. But here's the thing about silence. It doesn't last forever. It builds pressure inside you, like a storm waiting to break. I started writing in secret. Late at night, when Daniel was asleep, I poured my pain onto paper. Every lie he told, every moment he silenced me, every suspicion I swallowed, I wrote it all down. It was the only way I could breathe. And then, one night, something happened that changed everything. Daniel received a message while he was in the shower. His phone buzzed on the nightstand, and for once, curiosity and anger overpowered my fear. My hands trembled as I picked it up. The message read, "I miss you already. Last night was unforgettable. Same time tomorrow." My knees went weak. My vision blurred. This wasn't suspicion anymore. This was the truth. My heart raced as I heard the shower turn off. I quickly placed the phone back and pretended to be asleep. But inside, I was burning. My silence was no longer protecting him. It was killing me. I knew then that something had to change. I couldn't keep living like this. But how could I speak when he had chained me to fear? The answer came sooner than I expected, in a way that left Daniel frozen in fear. Because my truth, once spoken, was more powerful than his threats. And it all began the next morning, when I woke up and decided to finally break my silence. The next morning, as Daniel left for work, I held his phone in my hands, ready to uncover everything he had tried so desperately to hide. The next morning, after Daniel left for work, I sat on the edge of our bed with his phone in my hands. My fingers trembled, not just from fear of being caught, but from the weight of what I might discover. For years, I had obeyed his command for silence. But now, I was ready to listen to the truth, even if it broke me. I unlocked his phone, praying he hadn't changed the password. He hadn't. My heart pounded as I scrolled through his messages. And there she was. Her name was Clara, the woman from the grocery store. Their messages weren't just casual or friendly, they were intimate, explicit. She told him she loved him. He called her my escape. Each word stabbed me deeper. Photos of dinners together, weekend plans, even selfies in hotels I'd never been to. My vision blurred with tears. He hadn't just cheated, he had built an entire second life. And yet, he expected me to smile in public, play the role of the devoted wife, and stay silent. I slammed the phone shut and threw it on the bed, my chest heaving with rage. For the first time in years, the silence inside me cracked, and a voice whispered, "You don't deserve this. You're not weak. You can fight back." That day, I called Lily, the friend Daniel had forbidden me to speak to about our marriage. My voice shook as I asked her to meet me. We sat in a quiet cafe, and the moment I saw her, I broke down. "Emma, what's wrong?" she asked, grabbing my hand. I told her everything. The late nights, the threats, the silence, the other woman. Tears streamed down my face as the words tumbled out, words I had been forced to swallow for years. Lily listened, her expression shifting from sadness to fury. "Emma, this isn't just betrayal. It's abuse. He's manipulating you, controlling you. You can't keep living like this." "But what if he finds out I told you? You don't know him when he's angry, Lily. He'll destroy me." "No," she said firmly, squeezing my hand. "He's already destroying you. The question is, are you going to let him finish the job, or are you going to take back your life?" Her words lit something inside me. For the first time, I didn't feel alone. For the first time, I believed I could fight back. But how? That night, when Daniel returned, I forced myself to act normal. I cooked dinner, asked about his day, smiled when he spoke. Inside, my mind was racing. He had no idea I knew. As he laughed at something on TV, I studied him carefully. The man who had once been my everything now looked like a stranger. His smile was fake, his charm a mask. And suddenly, I knew exactly what I had to do. If he wanted me to stay silent, I would let him believe I was still obedient. But secretly, I would gather everything. Every lie, every message, every piece of evidence. I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. I was going to wait until the perfect moment. Until the truth would crush him. Over the next week, I became two people. By day, I was the quiet, devoted wife he thought he controlled. By night, I was a woman on a mission. I backed up his messages, saved screenshots, collected hotel receipts from his pockets. Each discovery made me shake with both pain and power. He thought I was silent, but I was building a voice so loud it would drown him. But the hardest part wasn't pretending. The hardest part was watching him lie to my face every single day. One evening, he came home with roses. He kissed my cheek, smiling as if nothing was wrong. "For you, Emma," he said smoothly. I forced a smile. "Thank you, Daniel. They're beautiful." Inside, I wanted to throw them in his face. But instead, I placed them in a vase, all while thinking about Clara, the woman he had probably kissed hours earlier. The dual life was exhausting, but I knew I couldn't stop. Not until I had everything. Then, one night, I overheard a call that changed everything. Daniel was in his office, the door slightly ajar. I was walking past when I heard him whisper, "Don't worry, Clara. She doesn't know a thing. Emma's too scared to ask questions. She's weak. She'll never say a word." My body went cold. Weak. That's what he thought of me. That's what he had reduced me to. My fists clenched, nails digging into my palms. For years, he had silenced me, made me believe I was powerless. But in that moment, I swore to myself I would show him just how strong I really was. The next morning, I looked at my reflection in the mirror. My eyes were swollen from crying, but there was something else there too, fire. I whispered to myself, "No more silence. No more fear. He thinks I'm weak, but he's about to learn who I really am." I picked up my notebook where I had written everything down, the lies, the threats, the pain. And I began planning, not just to expose him, but to make sure the world saw the truth. Because Daniel's worst fear wasn't losing me. His worst fear was losing control. And once I spoke, he would lose everything. But before I could act, something unexpected happened. That evening, Daniel came home unusually early. His mood was tense, his jaw clenched. He walked straight to me and said, "Emma, we need to talk." I froze. Did he know? Had he discovered what I was doing? I forced my voice to stay calm. "About what?" He narrowed his eyes. "I don't like the way you've been looking at me lately. As if you're hiding something." "Are you?" My heart raced. He was suspicious. "Of course not." I lied softly. "You're imagining things." He studied me for a long moment, then finally nodded. "Good. Because remember what I told you, Emma. Silence keeps this marriage alive. Don't ever forget that." He walked away, but my knees almost gave out. He was close to finding out. I knew then that my time was running out. If I didn't act soon, he would catch me. And if he caught me, I didn't know what he would do. So I decided, tomorrow, I would finally break my silence. But what I didn't know was that Daniel had already made his own plan. And when I discovered it, my world would shatter in a way I never imagined. The next day, before I could carry out my plan, I stumbled upon something Daniel had hidden from me. A secret so dangerous, it made his betrayal with Clara look like nothing at all. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. My plan was simple. While Daniel was at work, I'd finish gathering the last pieces of evidence and then decide how to confront him, or maybe even expose him publicly. But fate had its own plan. I was tidying up the living room when I noticed Daniel's briefcase on the couch. Normally, he never left it at home. He carried it everywhere, like it was a part of him. Something about that small slip made me curious. I hesitated for a moment, my hands trembling. Then I told myself, if he can hide things from me, then I have the right to know what's inside. I opened it. At first, I saw nothing unusual. Papers, business contracts, receipts. But then, tucked inside a hidden compartment, I found a brown envelope. When I pulled it out and opened it, my blood ran cold. Inside were photographs. Of me. Not just normal photos, these were taken without my knowledge. Me walking to the grocery store. Me meeting Lily at the cafe. Me asleep in our own bed. Dozens of them. My hands shook so badly the pictures almost slipped to the floor. My stomach churned. Why would my husband secretly photograph me? And then I found the worst part. A typed document titled, "Separation Agreement." It was already filled out with my name, his name, and detailed instructions. He was planning to divorce me. But it wasn't just a divorce. The document accused me of infidelity, of being unstable, of being unfit to handle finances. If he filed this, he could take everything, the house, the savings, even my dignity. My knees buckled, and I sat on the floor, clutching the papers. He wasn't just betraying me with Clara. He was planning to erase me. For years, he had silenced me, and now he was setting up a way to destroy me completely. I couldn't breathe. My chest tightened as panic set in. How long had he been planning this? Was Clara just part of his escape, or was she his future? Suddenly, the front door creaked. My heart jumped into my throat. Daniel. I shoved the papers back into the envelope and the envelope back into the briefcase just as he walked in. Emma? He called, his voice suspicious. Why are you home? I thought you had errands today. I forced a smile, clutching the vacuum cleaner as if I had been cleaning all along. I changed my mind. Thought I'd tidy up first. He narrowed his eyes, scanning the room like a predator. For a moment, I thought he could see right through me. Then, slowly, he nodded. Good. Keep the house nice. We have appearances to maintain. He walked past me, kissed my forehead as if nothing was wrong, and went upstairs. I stood frozen, my whole body trembling. He was planning to ruin me. He had evidence, lies, documents ready. If I didn't act fast, he'd strike first. And when he did, I'd lose everything. That night, as he slept peacefully beside me, I stared at the ceiling, my mind racing. I realized then that betrayal wasn't the worst part. It was the fact that he had underestimated me so badly. He thought I was too weak, too scared, too silent to ever fight back. But he was wrong. The next morning, I met Lily again. This time, I brought the photographs and the documents. She gasped as she read them. Emma, this is calculated. He's been planning this for months. He wants to destroy you before you can expose him. I nodded, tears welling in my eyes. I don't know what to do, Lily. If I confront him now, he'll twist everything against me. But if I stay quiet, he'll blindside me. She leaned forward, her eyes fierce. Then you need to strike first. Don't just expose his affair, expose everything. Make sure he has nowhere to run, no way to paint you as the villain. Her words lit a spark inside me. She was right. I had to turn the tables before he did. But I couldn't do it alone. I decided to confide in someone else, someone Daniel trusted. That night, I called his younger brother, Michael. He was kind, different from Daniel, and we'd always gotten along. I told him about the affair, the threats, the documents. At first, he didn't believe me. Emma, that doesn't sound like Daniel. He loves you. I handed him the photos and the fake separation agreement. His face went pale. Oh my God, he really did this. Yes, I whispered, my voice shaking. Michael, he's trying to destroy me. Please, I need your help. You're the only one he won't suspect. Michael sighed, running a hand through his hair. All right, but you have to be careful. If Daniel realizes you know all this, he'll snap. And trust me, you don't want to see that side of him. I already had. The plan was set. Michael would distract Daniel for a few hours the following day so I could collect more evidence from his office. But fate, once again, had other plans. That night, as Daniel and I sat down for dinner, he suddenly looked at me with a strange smile. Emma, he said softly, I've been thinking. Maybe we should take a little trip. Just the two of us. Clear the air. Rekindle things. I froze, my fork halfway to my mouth. A trip? With him? No. Every instinct in me screamed that this wasn't about love. It was about control. Maybe even a way to corner me. I forced a smile. That sounds nice. But inside, my heart was hammering. Because if I went on that trip, I didn't know if I'd come back. As Daniel stared at me with that unsettling smile, I realized I had only two choices. Go on the trip and risk losing everything. Or refuse and reveal that I already knew his darkest secrets. When Daniel suggested the trip, my blood ran cold. His voice was calm, his smile practiced. But there was something in his eyes that unsettled me. A darkness. I forced my lips into a smile and whispered, That sounds wonderful. He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Good. I'll plan everything. Don't worry about a thing. The way he said it didn't comfort me. It terrified me. That night, while he slept soundly beside me, I lay awake staring into the darkness. Every muscle in my body screamed, "Don't go." Something inside me knew this wasn't about romance or reconciliation. This was about control, maybe even erasing me completely. I thought about the secret photographs, the separation agreement, the affair with Clara. This trip was his way of silencing me for good. But Daniel underestimated me. I wasn't silent anymore. The next morning, I called Lily and told her everything. "Emma, you can't go with him," she said immediately. "It's too dangerous. If I refuse, he'll know I'm on to him. If I go, I might not come back." There was a long pause, then Lily whispered, "Then you need a backup plan. Something that forces him to stay in check." She was right. If I had to go, I wouldn't go unprotected. I spent the next 2 days preparing. I sent copies of the photographs, the messages, and the separation agreement to Lily and Michael, instructing them to open the files if I didn't contact them after the trip. If anything happens to me, I told them both, the truth goes public. Michael's jaw tightened. "Don't worry, Emma. I'll keep an eye on him. If he tries anything, I'll make sure people know who he really is." I was scared, but for the first time in years, I felt a strange sense of power. The night before we were supposed to leave, Daniel came home unusually cheerful. He wrapped his arms around me and kissed my forehead. "Pack light," he said with a grin. "We'll be gone a few days." I nodded, forcing a smile, but inside my stomach twisted. When morning came, we drove 3 hours into the countryside. He rented a secluded cabin near a lake. It should have been romantic, peaceful, but instead, every creak of the wooden floorboards made my skin crawl. The first night was quiet. Too quiet. Daniel cooked dinner, poured wine, and kept watching me with that calculating stare. Finally, after hours of unbearable silence, he said it. "Emma, I know you've been different lately." Distant. My heart stopped. He swirled the wine in his glass, his voice casual but his eyes sharp. "I hope you're not hiding anything from me." I swallowed hard. "Of course not." He leaned closer. "Because if you are, this trip would be the worst place to test me. Out here, no one can hear you scream." The glass slipped from my hand and shattered on the floor. He didn't flinch. He just smiled. I quickly stood, stammering, I'll clean it up." But inside, my fear turned into fire. For years, he had made me believe silence was survival. But now, silence was death. That night, as he slept in the bed beside me, I crept into the bathroom with my phone. My hands shook as I whispered into the recorder, detailing everything, his threats, his affair, the photos, the documents. "If you're hearing this," I whispered into the mic, "then something happened to me. And Daniel is responsible." I saved the file and sent it to Lily with a single message. "If I don't come home, play this everywhere." The next day, Daniel suggested a hike. My chest tightened. Out here in the woods, it would be so easy for him to make me disappear. But I agreed. I had to. As we walked deeper into the forest, he was strangely quiet. His jaw was tight, his steps deliberate. Finally, he stopped near a cliff that overlooked the water. The view was breathtaking, but my blood turned to ice. He turned to me, his face unreadable. "Emma," he said softly, "you know I love you, right?" My throat tightened. "Of course." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Then tell me the truth. Are you hiding something from me?" I forced my breathing to steady. "No, Daniel, I'm not." He studied me for a long, terrifying moment. Then suddenly, he laughed. "Good. Because you know what happens if you lie." My heart pounded as he turned back toward the path. I followed, but inside, my mind screamed, "He's testing me. He knows something. He's waiting for me to slip." That night, after dinner, I decided I couldn't wait any longer. If I didn't take control, he would. As he sat by the fire sipping whiskey, I pulled out my phone and placed it on the table. "Daniel," I said, my voice steady, "we need to talk." His eyes flicked to the phone, then back to me. About what? About Clara. About the photographs. About the separation agreement. The glass froze halfway to his lips. Slowly, he set it down. His eyes narrowed to slits. "What did you just say?" "I know everything," I whispered. "I've seen the messages. The hotel receipts. The lies. I know you've been planning to destroy me." The silence that followed was deafening. Then, slowly, Daniel smiled. But it wasn't the smile of a man caught in a lie. It was the smile of a predator cornered. "Well," he said softly. So the little bird finally found her voice. He stood, towering over me. My hands shook, but I didn't back down. "You can't hurt me anymore, Daniel. I've made sure of it. If anything happens to me, the world will know the truth." For the first time, his smile faltered. His eyes flickered with something I'd never seen before, fear. But before I could say another word, he lunged forward, snatching my phone from the table. "Let's see what you've been hiding," he growled. My stomach dropped. Everything, the recordings, the evidence, it was all on that phone. If he saw it, I was done. Daniel's fingers tightened around my phone, his eyes burning with rage. And in that moment, I knew whatever happened next would decide who survived this marriage. Him or me. Daniel's grip on my phone was tight, his knuckles white. My heart pounded in my chest as he scrolled through the screen, his jaw tightening with every second. "You recorded me?" he hissed, his voice low and dangerous. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay calm. "Yes, Daniel. Every threat, every lie. If you hurt me, if you even think about destroying me, the world will know who you really are." His eyes blazed with fury. For a moment, I thought he might throw the phone into the fire, erase every trace of my truth. But then, he froze. His face went pale. He had found the files, the recordings, the photographs, the separation agreement, the message I sent Lily, telling her to go public if anything happened to me. His breathing grew ragged. For the first time, Daniel looked cornered. "You stupid, foolish woman," he spat. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Do you think anyone will believe you over me?" I stood tall, my voice trembling but strong. "They won't have to believe me, Daniel. They'll see the proof. You can't silence me anymore." For a long, terrifying moment, we just stared at each other, the predator and the prey. But this time, I wasn't the prey. Suddenly, he slammed the phone on the table and stormed toward the door. "This marriage is over, Emma. And when I'm done with you, you'll wish you never opened your mouth." He disappeared into the night, the sound of the cabin door slamming echoing through the walls. I collapsed into the chair, my body shaking. My silence was gone. My truth was out, but now I had declared war. The next morning, Daniel drove us back home in silence. His face was unreadable, his jaw clenched. I kept my hands folded tightly in my lap, pretending to be calm, while inside, I braced for whatever storm was coming. When we arrived home, he grabbed his briefcase and left without a word. I knew exactly where he was going, Clara. But I wasn't afraid anymore. I was ready. That afternoon, I met with Lily and Michael. I showed them everything again, this time with Daniel's latest outburst recorded on my backup device. Michael's face was grim. "Emma, he's dangerous. But he's also sloppy now. He thinks he can scare you into backing down. He doesn't realize you've already beaten him." Lily leaned forward. "So what's the plan?" I took a deep breath. "The plan is simple. We let him think he still has control. And then, we ended on my terms." Over the next week, I played the part of the obedient wife again. I cooked dinner, smiled at his colleagues, pretended everything was normal. Meanwhile, I worked quietly with Lily and Michael to prepare. We gathered witnesses, shared the files with trusted people, and even consulted a lawyer who agreed to represent me. Every piece of evidence was lined up like dominoes, waiting to fall. And then the perfect opportunity came. Daniel had invited colleagues and friends to a dinner party at our house. It was his way of showing off, of proving to the world that his marriage was flawless. He hated weakness, and appearances were everything to him. As I dressed that evening, I looked at myself in the mirror. For the first time in years, I didn't see a broken woman. I saw someone ready to reclaim her voice. The guests arrived. Laughter filled the living room. Daniel was in his element, charming everyone with his stories and fake smiles. I stood beside him, smiling too, but for a very different reason. When the moment was right, I tapped my glass. The room fell silent. "I'd like to say something," I began, my voice steady. Daniel glanced at me, confused but amused. I pulled out a small flash drive from my pocket and held it up. "For years I've been silent. But tonight, I'm done being silent." I plugged the drive into the TV. The screen lit up with messages, photos, and recordings. Gasps filled the room as Daniel's own voice echoed through the speakers. Silence, Emma. That's what keeps this marriage alive. The color drained from his face. Turn it off, he shouted, lunging toward me. But Michael stepped in front of him. Sit down, Daniel. The room erupted with whispers. Daniel's colleagues looked horrified, some even disgusted. His perfect mask had shattered in front of everyone who mattered to him. I turned to him, my voice calm but powerful. You thought silence would protect you, but silence only protected your lies. My truth is louder than your threats, Daniel. And now, everyone knows who you really are. He stood there frozen, his chest heaving, his eyes wide with panic. For the first time, Daniel, the man who had controlled me for years, looked powerless. That night marked the end of our marriage. Within weeks, I filed for divorce, armed with all the evidence I needed. The court sided with me. Daniel lost credibility, lost his reputation, lost everything he had tried so hard to protect. As for me, I finally found peace. No more silence. No more fear. I rebuilt my life, piece by piece, with my voice stronger than ever. Lily stood by me. Michael checked in often. For the first time in years, I felt free. And though scars remained, I wore them proudly, proof that I had survived the storm. Daniel once told me that silence keeps a marriage alive. But the truth? It was my voice that saved me. He forced me into silence. But when I finally spoke, my truth left him frozen in fear.